in the book. The one they put over there, but this one's been enlarged a little.
Okay. All right, we're rolling again.
David has enlarged it. Where did Mark enlarged it?
All right, and where did you go next?
Where are we? Orleans?
Yes.
Orleans, of course, is minor battle anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Never kept going. And lots of little towns, lots of small towns I ran through. Sometimes you had to run through, find a road or something that's not blowing, they got big holes in it. And our next battle is at Troyes, Troyes. And that is at the 25th of August. And then we headed, still heading east and north, captured a number of large cities without too much trouble. There was always, the Germans always leaving rear guards,
Mm-hmm.
and just to slow you up so their main forces can retreat, you know,
Mhm.
without being wiped out.
Yeah.
So now we ran as far as Troyes at 25th of August. And we're still traveling. Some places the CCA and CCB are quite a ways apart. Now we ran into lots of battles. The Germans stopped here and there. So we have a battle in Luneville, Luneville,
Mm-hmm.
and there was a battle in Freshness, the Far East, and one in Metz, and one in Fenitrange, and one in Robrat. In this area, there was battering on. Every once in a while, we were running into troops that were holding us up.
Mm-hmm. Now, did your unit suffer a lot of casualties?
And on top of that, we ran out of gas.
Oh, okay.
Our fuel ran out, and then we delayed. We just couldn't move without fuel.
Mm-hmm.
There were times we were sitting on a hillside and siphoning gasoline out of one armored car so we could keep the radio going in our car, because you had to keep communication.
Yeah.
And we were run out of gas, and you'd have to siphon out of the other cars to keep our radios open, running. And we managed to keep the radio on. And now at this point, we have reached the 7th of December. And then we stop. Some infantry outfit was attacking towards Germany.
Okay.
Or there were two infantry outfits that were moving in on Germany. And the armored division pulled out. We pulled out for whatever, rest, gasoline, thing.
Okay.
And at this time, lots of, since it's the first of December, and people were getting officers, some of the enlisted men were becoming officers, and
Oh,
lots of training. It's now a change. It's now it's a change of a month.
okay.
And
Now what happened? Were a lot of the officers being killed off?
no, they were. Other various pieces were. Some of them were killed, and some of them, like our executive officer, he got transferred. He got a captain's commission from a first lieutenant, and he became commander of the second troop. The second troop. The
Okay.
commander had been. I don't know what happened to him. He might have been advanced, or he might have been killed. But we lost our car, the guy that was riding our car, the officer in our car, and two other, let's see, three enlisted men became commissioned,
Mm-hmm.
got their second lieutenant's job.
Okay.
And then they took over our platoons. They replaced the platoons, and the officers that were in platoons, they got miscellaneous jobs throughout they had some of them replacing guys that had been killed
Mm-hmm.
or wounded, and then it's three of them took over. Like, we only had 3 line platoons, and they had new officers take over those platoons, and the ones that were in platoons took over other jobs. Two of them got back with us. One of them came back with us to replace our guy that had been riding with us.
Okay.
Everybody was, at this point, they were, let's see, Hodges was supposed to be Sergeant Hodges was a staff sergeant. He was in charge of one of the platoons, and he broke down. He had been scheduled to become first sergeant. First sergeant was made second lieutenant, and 2 other ones, Herndon and I forget his name, but anyway, 3 of them got commissions and took over our 3 platoons.
Okay.
And then we got 1 man in our car. One of the officers had to take over our job in our car. Now this is all happening, and we we convinced our commander and officer that we should have a half-track as a command car and get rid of this 2-car bit this winter time, and it's getting
Mhm.
cold, and the armored cars are cold.
Mm-hmm.
But we convinced him because the supply sergeants had a half-track, a 15 people that can ride the hand trap. It was an infantry type thing to carry infantrymen with a half track, door in the back.
Mm-hmm.
We convinced him that it would make a good command car. And then you only need one car, because we had extra radios because our radio the mechanics and our radio man, the guy that fixes our radios normally, I can't fit whatever one is. Whenever they ran into a knocked out vehicle, they would strip it.
Mm-hmm.
The mechanics would strip it for stuff because you never got supplies of extra parts.
Okay.
There were delays, so the radio mechanics and the radio man would strip down every knocked out car they ran into, and if the radios were any good, they'd take them. So we had a lot of extra radios. And so we convinced them to make the half-track command car. Then we wouldn't have to have so many radios. All the radio operators can, we can carry extra radio operators in the same car.
Okay.
And besides, it's a lot warmer because there's a top on the half-track. And this is all going on in the first part of December, Now because we had two platoons on the line. They were keeping communication between two divisions, two infantry divisions that were attacking into Germany.
Mm-hmm.
But they were attacking on an angle, and these two platoons between them trying to protect it were getting longer and longer protection places. I mean, it came to the point where they couldn't talk to each other. I mean, there were guys in a hole trying to hold in between these two infantry divisions that are advancing into Germany and making a wider and wider area there in between them.
Okay.
Of course, now this Hodges broke down. He was scheduled to become our first sergeant. Now our first sergeant would normally was back in division trains all the time. We never saw the first sergeant up first because unless you had a dinner come up to you.
Mm-hmm.
But they made him a lieutenant. I don't think he should have. And then two other guys real good at it who were platoon sergeants. They gave him commissions. Now this is all happening first part of December, the
Mm-hmm.
2nd, 3rd, 4th, whenever the information reaches you. Of course, now we had a good warm spot to take the half track, but you gotta put the radios in there. It takes a little while.
Mm-hmm.
We knew how to do it because we know where the bolts are that they're designed to start with, that they can be, they got the holes in the right place so you can clamp your radios in. And we had extra radios. So took a little while. We were making a command car out of it by putting two AM radios in the same area, plus two voice type things. We had a lot of communications we could manufacture. Because we didn't have many people who were going to ride this trip. And this was, But meanwhile, then we got called out of the line. We got called back in these infantry outfits that were evidently got stopped in their attack into Germany
Mm-hmm.
because there was a little, there was an invasion. This came on the battle, which is the Battle of the Bulge. The Germans were attacking down, which became, this is the Battle of the Bulge.
Mm-hmm.
Attacked at this time, and of course our troops got pulled out because we had to head into, we had to go a long ways away. We're 120 miles away from Bastogne,
Uh-huh.
a good 120 miles away, and a good number of our troops are in action, so they pulled us out, pulled all the troops out, and we headed towards Bastogne, in the area that was being attacked. And of course, we had a good 120 miles to go, and you got to get your troops lined up. And and of course now we got pulled out of the line, and we sat around for a night or two.
Mm-hmm.
And then now we were CCA. We were, but CCB, Contact Command B, got on the road to the Ardennes, which is, where Bastogne is.
Mm-hmm.
CCB got on the road at the moment. Must have been early in December anyway, or in the middle of December. At this point, we're in the middle of December.
Okay, and then you followed them in?
And we headed into the area the Ardennes we were headed into.
Okay. And what was that like there when you arrived?
And we just, I know, not helping here. Well, anyway, we took a day or two to get raised, and the one combat command, CCB, went first on the road to Bastogne. And then we got on after the CCB.
Mm-hmm.
Then, of course, after that would be the CCR, which is the reserve. But we didn't get on till well dark of December. Well, let's see, December 24th, 23rd, 22nd, 21st. 21st of December we got on the road, heading for the Ardennes. And we traveled all overnight, all night we traveled one road. The whole division there. Of course, we now had a half-track.
Mm-hmm.
We no longer had our armored cars. We had a half-track and a couple radio operators to help us.
Mm-hmm. Now, what happened once you reached the Ardennes?
And it took us, well, we got into Luxembourg. We traveled all night. you know, we're not traveling very fast, because there's only one road,
Mm-hmm.
and it was dark when we hit it, and there's no lights on any car, and it's just plain dark. You could tell it was the road you're on, because the road was dark and the fields were covered with snow,
Mm-hmm.
so you stay on the dark spots. You're only traveling maybe 5, 6, 8 miles an hour. Now our driver, he got tired. He was beat. He got beat after a couple hours of driving, I don't know. So, I took over the driving the half-track. And I drive on the half-track, the most I ever drove a half-track was once in a while I go up to the motor park in Pine Camp and move a car so I could use the radio someplace else. I never got it out of second gear. And I got a job in the middle of the night to drive this half-track. Because our driver was beat. After 4 hours of it, boy, he was beat. So I drove the half-track, but I probably drove 40 miles in 4 hours.
Mm-hmm.
You're going, the car ahead of me, I was following a 6x6 truck, which has got good,
Mm-hmm.
it had not lights on, but things you could see if you got close enough.
Right, the blackout
Whatever
lights.
these are, you
Yep.
could see, if you got close enough, you could see it. But I was driving the half-track, and the half-track is not a real speedy vehicle, especially when you can't shift. There's no such thing as you got to really double shift like a truck, and you got all kinds of things down in there where you disconnect your track, and you front wheel drive and track on the rear, and track drives, which is like driving a truck with your emergency brakes on all the time. So I would only be going maybe at the most 10 miles an hour most of the time. And that truck ahead of me would take off. And then by the time I got the darn half-track going, any speed, all of a sudden that truck would show ahead of me.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, we're driving dark, it's dark. No such thing as a light in the distance or anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know how far I did. I was getting and going. If I ever got 10 miles an hour, I probably was going pretty fast for me.
Okay, and what happened?
But we didn't get. We got into Luxembourg City then. That is on the 20. Let's see. I gotta go back. 21st. Of course, everybody. There was a bar room, and all of us in our headquarters company, we went in there and we bunked in the house. They had one ball. They had a one-lane bowling center, just one bowl to bowl. Like a bar room has.
Mm-hmm.
So the guys went to sleep on the bowl on the bowling alley, and it was foot to foot, foot to
Uh-huh.
foot. And it was warm in there. But then now, this must have been the 21st. Then now this 21st is December. And then in the morning we bumped across, we separated, and the next night we slept across the street. We took over a house, or part of a house, stayed there. Then that would be the 22nd. And then on the morning of it would be the morning of the 23rd. No, I lost it. Well, anyway, I lost my time here. Because we moved we still were sure what was going on. We knew there was a battle going on because we're going this way and all these people are coming the other way. We would be traveling, at this point, we would be traveling spread out, you know, combat thing, and all these other people coming the other directions. Walking and riding and anything they could ride. But this was now but anyway, that must have been 22nd was the first. Yeah. Oh, we ran into somebody. Oh no, of course, we were riding with radio silence. We've been riding with phalanx silence for all this time. Most of this time we were riding with radio silence. They don't want at the time, and you know that means when you're following your troop up, your guys up front, you have to be able to see them. So every time you get to a wooded section, the command car has to close up so we can see the guys ahead of them. And this is on the, must be the 22nd. We ran into a river. We ran into a river of some sort. The bridge was out. So our guys ahead of us, and we were in a lightly wetted area, so we were pretty close. We could see the troops ahead, the guys ahead of us. We could see. So they could just give us a signal, we can run up and talk to them. Of course, I had to go. Of course, you have to go to the bathroom all the time in the war. You're always sick. But anyway, I had to go, and I was dismounted for the moment. And while I was gone, they lifted the radio silence. Because we had, oh no wait, they didn't lift it until while I was having my movement, a rifle shot went through, and I didn't pay any attention to it because somebody dropped his gun. But then something big came through, and I had to hurry a little, move around behind the tree. And those are the opening shots of the battle to relieve Bastogne. We pulled out now. We didn't have any problems because by the time I got back to the half track, I was only not too many feet away from it. We had, the silence had been lifted, and we're now opened our radio so we didn't have to be able to be so close to the front. So we pulled back with the half track and the rest of our headquarters. We pulled back to the corner with a bar room and a couple of houses and stuff like that, and settled in there. We could get in a house where it's warm. At times we could. Of course, the radio operators had to operate outside, you know, had to operate in the half track, and even though it's got a cover, it was still cold. You know, heaters and these things. But that was the opening shots of the battle to relieve Bastogne. Those couple that shot at me, they didn't shoot at me, but those were.
Okay. And then what happened next?
We got it, your time now is 20 seconds. Now, my timing in here might be,
That's all right. We don't need the exact dates. You relieve them at Bastogne.
and we're within the contacted the troops around, the German troops around Bastogne. We had contacted them, but they're on the other side of the river.
Mm-hmm.
They were back in the woods on the other side of the river, you know, and we had gone back to an occupied area where it's town. It's not a town, it was just a crossroads with a bar room and a few houses and stuff,
Mm-hmm.
where I went, and the rest of us. And then, now, we operated through the 22nd. Fine, and the other CCB had run into problems too. They couldn't get across the river. And somewhere in there they committed the CCR, you know, the vehicles that were in reserve.
Mm-hmm.
Some of them were beat up and they couldn't do, but they activated CCR, so now started another front to try to find a way they can get across that river and into the Germans. By now the Germans had surrounded the town. And this was 23rd now, 23rd dawn's gone. Now we're running into the 24th, which is Christmas Eve. And what the heck is it? Of course, it's Christmas Eve and my radio broke down. And you gotta keep the communication now, and I opened it up and tried to change tubes, and I couldn't find out what was wrong with the darn thing. But we had an armored car still with a radio that supposedly was supposed to have been tuned up. That was part of the deal, you know, in case you lost one, you've got another car with the radio tuned up, because you had to keep changing them once a month, and if you lost a vehicle with a radio in, then they have to change all your frequencies. You keep changing your frequencies if a vehicle with a radio is captured, you know, or
Right.
So now it's Christmas Eve and my radio, and I couldn't get that fixed, and our repairman, he had been working so hard, I didn't want to work with it. So I shifted over to the armored car. It was only, maybe here to across the street. An armored car was supposed to have their radio all tuned up to, to the higher headquarters.
Mm-hmm.
And I get in that thing and it hasn't been tuned. And it's quite a set. You got to open the whole front of it. You can tune the receiver easy enough. You just got to dial. But to tune up the transmitters in those things, you got to take the whole front of the fuse off, and you got to shift some little clips around the coil
Mm-hmm.
to tune the thing, and then you got to put the front back on. And in that cloud of that armored car, it's not easy. Anyway, it wasn't, the thing was, it hadn't been tuned. You see, whoever was supposed to have tuned it and hadn't tuned it up. Of course, I'm now communications sergeant. I got communications sergeant's job in our shake-up, you know, when there's all these guys got,
Mm-hmm.
because our communications sergeant had made the first sergeant's job, and then I moved on into the communication sergeant's job. And of course it took a while. It just takes a while, you know. You gotta start the motor, you gotta keep the motor running because you're using lots of power, you know. There's keep the motor, you have to start the darn thing to keep the battery charged up. And I finally got the darn thing tuned up and all going, you know. So I went on the air to let them know that I'm back in, because I'm the communications sergeant at this point. So I went back on the air and reported and called all stations. And then what I do? I just sent them a wait. Nobody had an article on now. You can send O's, and that's urgent. You could, if you send a bunch of X's, you get the air regardless. Anybody else that's on the air, get off. If you send a bunch of X's, that's enemy contact. And O is urgent. So anybody on the air will not start. It will not start.
Okay.
Anything in enemy contact, you're going to get you get the air. Nobody else can have it. The first O's that's going over.
Okay.
And I sent O's and took over the air. And of course it's Christmas Eve. So I was all tuned up, and I said O's, urgent. I said O's, and then the wait. You send an AS, that means wait on your code, you know,
Okay.
And I said O's, urgent, wait, and then my watch, of course I don't know whether it was right or not, and I said the time is 2400 hours. Merry Christmas. I sent quote my urgent message. And I said, sent there a bunch of O's, and I said, Merry Christmas. And then in total 2400 hours. And of course the other operators picked it up. And of course I left them. I said ended with an X, and they would answer them, you know. Then they would answer me, Merry Christmas, and Merry Christmas, and Merry Christmas. And then somewhere, of course, I was over on our higher headquarters. I was sending this Merry Christmas. And then all night long, the rest I could tell these other guys, they were wishing each other Merry Christmas and Merry Christmas.
Okay. And what happened? What happened after Christmas?
All the operators who were out throughout that area were just wishing people a Merry Christmas. And 24 hours of Christmas Eve.
Okay. All right.
Christmas Eve went over with, and we.
After Christmas, what happened?
Well, by Christmas, so they're still battling now. CCR is in. CCA and CCB, they're still stopped. They can't keep it. They can't move. Now, Christmas is. CCR broke through. CCR found a way to get across the river. And they attacked some Germans that were around. There were evidently relatively few
Mm-hmm.
at that particular point. And this is the 26th of December.
Okay.
The CCR broke through and made contact with the troops that were surrounded in Bastogne.
Okay.
You know, we had been fighting out of holding Bastogne down. Now this was the contact from the outside, from the south. So that was the break of then now the cars, of course, now we spread out and held a road that the CCR had set up. And they had a picture of that road, and so you had the only opening was that one road going into Bastogne.
Mm-hmm.
And they had to defend that one road. The tanks and infantry had dug in all along the road just to hold them in. All the trucks rode that road, bringing supplies into Bastogne and bringing bringing the guys that were wounded out.
Yeah. And they asked them to surrender, and they refused, right?
Yeah, but the battle went on for quite a while yet. You know, the
Mm-hmm.
Germans, it took a long while before they decided to, but Bastogne had been saved, and we've got enough ammunition in now, and of course then the weather cleared, and they could fly, you know.
Uh-huh.
There was up until this time, it was cloudy, you know, the aircraft couldn't fly, they couldn't.
Right.
The Germans could fly, but the Americans didn't fly. And of course, it was one airplane from German would come over and drop a bomb once in a while. But
Okay. Where did you go after Bastogne?
San Bastogne, we got still a lot of war to go. Actually, Bastogne was broken. They're pushing out of it. The Germans are being pushed back now.
Mm-hmm.
And we were part of the whole army is pushing, not just trying to push out of Bastogne, and eventually they just pushed the Germans back into Germany. It took quite a while, but we pulled out. We got the Germans back. Of course, there's other people. The First Army is pushing now, you know, there's a lot of pushing. Got them pushed back, but we pulled out a week and a half later, maybe about this.
So you're probably into January at that point?
3rd or 4th of January.
Okay.
We were pulled out and went into a rest area. Actually, we pulled out and no longer fought at this moment. It was not our battle anymore.
Mm-hmm.
We pulled back into, we're still in Luxembourg. Yeah, just outside of Luxembourg City. We went into, I don't know, a rest area, I suppose it is.
Okay.
Wasn't a long period, but we were
All right. And then where did you go next?
Now I got, now we stayed there about a week. And of course, you know, fixing the things
Mm-hmm.
beat up here and there and get ready to move. And then we started, we pulled away from anywhere near Bastogne. That was when we headed into Germany. Well, at times we were just in Luxembourg, you know,
Mm-hmm.
or Belgium. You got Belgium in there too, so you eventually we reached the German border. It was only a couple days after.
Okay. What kind of reception did you receive in Germany? Were the civilians friendly towards you? Or?
You run into, the civilians were not glad to see you.
Uh-huh.
No, they were fighting the war, and it varied with. No, I mean the German people were, at this particular point, evidently were still backing their troops.
Mm-hmm.
Any ones you lived into or ran into.
Mm-hmm. Now, did you guys have problems with snipers at all?
And with what?
Snipers? Snipers firing at you?
No.
No?
I got, something, turn off a minute later. I kind of, they asked me, what I did at the moment. Oh. I lost track of where we were and where we are.
You said you crossed the border into Germany.
Yeah, we're into Germany. Luxembourg. Not much, we're just moving. We're back in, here's in this. I got 12th of January. 12th of January from there's 23rd of January, a minor tax, but we're moving fairly fast.
Okay.
We're in Germany.
Whereabouts in Germany were you? Do you recall?
Well, we're going through Rittersburg, Bitburg, Hilberg, Dawn, Mayen, Andridge. How about Koblenz? Oh, that's we hit Koblenz here on the 8th of March. And now we're on, there's a river here. Oh, we're on the Rhine. We reached the Rhine.
Now, at that point, had you passed any concentration camps or anything?
Yeah. We did later, yeah. We did after we crossed the Rhine. We hit where did I go? Oppenheim.
Now, did you liberate any POW camps?
Yeah,
with
we
Americans?
hit I got pictures of it. We hit the first, there'd been talk about these concentration camps, and, but nobody had ever seen one.
Yeah.
But we were the first ones to see Ohrdruf. Ohrdruf was the first, it was a carryover from some other one that had too many figures, and now you got the pictures of the concentration camp?
Yeah, there's only a couple though. They're pretty gruesome.
Ohrdruf, oh, there should be. Ohrdruf was the first town, it was the first one that people really saw. As far as the Americans, as far as the Americans or British were saw, the Russians had run into them.
Okay. Were you involved in the liberation of Dachau at all?
So they had?
Dachau?
I forgot what.
I don't believe so.
Okay.
Oh, come on, you got some real, lots of them.
You want to?
Not of Dachau though.
Huh? You got pictures of the,
These are Ohrdruf.
Order?
what do you got?
These are the ones of Ohrdruf.
You want, if he can hold those up if you like, and I can zoom in on the.
You want to show them these pictures, Dan? There's only two that are.
Yeah, these are.
Okay. If you just hold them up in front of you, I can zoom in on them.
You want to look at them, or these are?
Okay. Now, did you take these pictures yourself?
These are two separate pictures.
Okay. All right. Okay.
Of course, by the time we got to that,
Now, do you remember where you were when you heard about the death of President Roosevelt?
yeah, they got what?
The death of President Roosevelt. Do you remember that? That was a little before the war. I think that was in April when Roosevelt died. Do you recall that at all?
Dad, President Roosevelt, do you remember where you were when President Roosevelt died?
No, not really.
Okay.
No, I don't. I don't think remember at all that he didn't pay any attention to it.
Okay. Now, I think you said you were up till March. You were looking at your sheet, and I think you were up to March of 45. You were in Germany. And what was the name of that concentration camp? Warnow? Is that it?
Ohrdruf, I think.
Ohrdruf?
O-H-R.
Ohrdruf.
Ohrdruf, okay. Now, did you, while you were on the move, did you ever capture any German soldiers or have any of them surrender to you?
No, I don't recall. No, never reached a point where I had any contact with German prisoners.
Okay.
Other than the ones I had in Picket Cotton.
Yeah. Now, did you ever encounter the Russians at all?
Yeah, we ran into the Russians. We were, when the war ended, we were in Czechoslovakia.
Uh-huh.
We got peace of Czechoslovakia when the war ended. And we stopped there. And the Russians, that's German, had a lot of it with German prisoners after the war was over.
Uh-huh.
Well, we had thousands and thousands and thousands of them came through that piece of Czechoslovakia.
Mm-hmm.
I got
Now,
a picture in the book there, these thousands of pieces, these thousands of,
okay. What was your impression of the Russians?
and we had, the Russians were real friendly.
Uh-huh.
Well, we had no problems with the Russians, except that they wanted to take the German prisoners. The German prisoners thought they were safe. They came through our lines, peace-sick. Thousands of them. These were occupation troops in Czechoslovakia and
Okay.
other parts. And all the Russians were fine people. I had no problem, no question with them.
Mm-hmm.
We got stopped, the Russians, the war, we got stopped. We were close to where the Russians were. This would be earlier on.
Uh-huh.
War still on. And they stopped us and wouldn't let us, they didn't want Patton to cross the
Was it the Elbe River?
river into where the Russians were reaching, I forgot the river's name.
I think it was the Elbe River, wasn't it?
Yeah,
The Elbe?
yeah, the Elbe, and they wouldn't let us go up through the Elbe and across.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't want the Americans to, and they, so they sent Third Army down south towards Czechoslovakia. That's because they didn't, if they had left Patton alone, he would have crossed the Elbe.
Right.
And that was the reason they stopped us, and they let the First Army take over then.
Okay.
And they, of course, stayed on the side and let the Elvis do the crossing. Patton would have crossed.
Yeah.
But they did. Instead, they sent us, which we were leading Patton's army at that time.
Mm-hmm.
He sent us down, pulled us out, and sent us down to Peace Deck. busted here back in April.
Okay, did you want to talk about that at all, or, I mean, it's up to you.
Yeah,
Okay,
here's a certificate of merit in April. I was a private. You want these ones? You want to hold from there?
oh, okay, yeah, let me zoom in on that. Now, what did you receive that for? It says, in recognition of conspicuously meritorious and outstanding performance of military duty.
That's the only time I was a private. I got busted in April, the 1st of April, the first part of April. I'm trying to think of what did I do? I think I got busted. Well, the war was going. Our company commander had a tendency to drink.
Uh-huh.
He was pretty good before the war, but in the times there he began to drink a little bit.
Okay.
And the driver and myself and the other there was a contact going on, and we had voice. We were close enough, you know, with 100 yards or 200 yards or close enough, we could use just voice.
Uh-huh.
And the company commander was out in a Jeep somewhere, and he was yelling, he was complaining because he had run into some Germans in a that were holding someplace on there, and he was complaining there why, how come there were Germans there. And we actually hadn't reached that, the Army hadn't reached that point yet. And but we were fighting, had contact with our platoon, and we just were talking to them, you know, you just pick it up and do your talking. And here I was going to have to retune my radios, and DeFalco, the other assistant radio when I was still I got to be a sergeant, but that doesn't matter.
Uh-huh.
I just took the key off. And we couldn't contact with voice because he was holding his microphone down, his microphone closed, and when nobody can operate, can talk.
Oh, okay.
If you hold the microphone button down,
Right.
he's getting as well. When we get a chance to open there and talk to somebody, and he was out there somebody just complaining because some Germans were down there. He'd run into some Germans. He had gone out in the Jeep, and we were just, you know, the platoons were reporting to us that they did such and such a thing, and we were keeping contact with them. But the company commander was out in the Jeep, and he kept there. Well, DeFalco gave him a hard time. I would think I was using proper procedures to try to quiet him. But anyway, when he came back, he complained, and he called me up to we were in a Bruin house, and he was going up there to go to bed. He had decided he wanted to sleep. Well, we were in a German town. We had taken it. And he just gone up in the bed. And well, he called me up there. He called me. He sent his aide. He had a driver who was also took care of his bedding and stuff. You know,
Yeah.
the driver. He called me up there and he broke me. He told me he was busted. They busted me at that point. This was well, in first part of April, maybe the 3rd, 4th of April. And he busted me down to a private at that point. He called me up there and said I was busted. When I went back down, Our driver and our other radio operator, they got mad and they went up and they talked to him and he complained that because I had busted, so he busted both of them.
Oh, boy.
Okay. But then within 2 days, I got busted and I got shifted back to the radio operator in the mechanic's armored car. They shifted him over to my place, gave him my job.
Mm-hmm.
Gave him my command. I was head of the communications at the time.
Now, did you get your rank back?
And I went back in the mechanic's car. I just got the job there, but only 2 days later. Of course, we're all close together at this point.
Yeah.
They had a guy, our liaison guy. We had Ohrdruf. He was liaison since the beginning of our landings there. He spent things you couldn't do, send by radio. You gotta have somebody come carry the information from the out to the.
Right, like a courier.
You gotta keep in contact with them, and then he gives the call. And the liaison, he got in trouble. He had to go to the hospital, and then we had to replace him. He needed a replacement, but they had a replacement that could read a map. And I had been just busted, so I became the liaison. O'Driscoll had to go to the hospital. He got involved with some girl. He had to go to the hospital, so I was the liaison. I replaced him, that gave me a driver who outranked me. I got a driver who outranked me, and then I got back to the CCA headquarters, and I showed up, and the guys complained to me because they didn't have my stripes on. Because I didn't have my stripes on, I had been busted. Well, I didn't have them on in the first place, but I had been. Of course, he didn't really know, so he sent me. What did he do? Oh, I don't know. We got back to. They wouldn't let me sleep with this non-conditioned people who had stripes and stuff. I had to sleep with the drivers. They sent me to sleep with the drivers. And now the next day, the first day I was over there, they had a meeting. They had to wait for me because the drivers were down the street, and they had to wait for me to show up.
To give the briefing?
And the first one, of course, because I was with the reconnaissance outfit, you have to, you got to instruct him first, because he's the first one to move out. So I thought it was funny. All these guys sitting around, they had captains and first lieutenants, and they had people down there were staff sergeants. Mine, no stripes at all. I was driving. I was asleep with the drivers.
Now, did they give you your sergeant stripes back?
I got them. I got two. Now this is April.
Okay. Yeah.
And I got this thing here in April. This has got the April date on it. So as of April, I stayed down. Then I got the first month I got, which was May, and of course the war ended then.
Yeah.
I got a T5.
Okay.
And then the next.
So the T5 was like sergeant?
No, T5 would be a corporal.
The corporal? Okay.
Corporal rating. It's corporal pay,
Okay.
And then I got a T4s back on the next month, but then that was May.
Okay.
The war ended May 8th. So I got a T4. When the war ended, I was a T4. I
Okay.
had picked up my T4 on the 1st of May.
Okay.
in the,
Now, now what was it like when the war ended? Was there a lot of celebration? And
pardon?
was there a lot of celebration when the war ended?
No, not for us, because we had no, there was no, as far as where we went into we were in P6,
Uh-huh.
which is right on practically on the German border. We got a area to occupy. We went on, them as occupying troops.
Okay.
So there was no community, no, these were Germans
Okay.
in
Well,
Germany, there was no,
was there any talk about sending you to the Pacific at all?
not us, they, individual, well, no, because the 4th Armored was scheduled to be troops to, what do you do, Constable?
Oh,
What-
occupation, you mean?
Yeah, the 4th Armored was disarmored and became the occupation troops.
Okay.
And, they just disbanded the 4th Armored when they were still in Germany.
Okay.
Because we shifted, us with enough time for discharge.
Yeah, you must have had a lot of points, didn't you?
Yeah, I had, I shifted to the 9th Armored. The 9th Armored was scheduled for going back to States
Uh-huh.
and being broken up.
Now, when did you go back to the States?
Well, the war ended,
Right.
and and then they were discharging people in the States.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't go back until, I was transferred to the 9th Armored.
Yeah.
And when the 9th Armored went, of course the 4th was not going back, they stayed as occupation troops.
Right.
But of course they called them constables, I guess.
Okay.
Well, I went back to, I forget.
Did they send you to Fort Dix
No,
to be discharged?
I went with the 9th Armored, and when they went back, of course, I went back too. Ended up at Fort Dix.
Okay.
We landed down in Virginia, and then the track, took train to wherever.
Okay.
Mine was at Fort Dix, other guys went to other places. But
Now, were you discharged before the war ended in Japan or after that?
pardon?
Were you discharged before the war ended in Japan or after that?
Oh, no, the Japan war was over.
Okay. So you probably didn't get,
That's the reason that they were discharging troops in the United States, and they were
okay,
And then when the war was ended in Japan,
okay. Do you remember when you got discharged?
we can find it. It's on my discharge sheet. Here's my,
Yep, that should be it there.
February, September, 25th of October, 45.
Oh, okay.
See, the war in Japan was over with them. And I started with 14th of May in 41.
Okay. Once you were discharged, did you make use of the GI Bill?
Did I what?
Did you use the GI Bill at all? Did you go to school, or did you buy a home on the GI Bill at all?
I don't know what to say. I can't understand.
The GI Bill, when you got out of the Army, did you go to college or
No.
no?
Oh, you want? No. Well, I worked in a factory before. I worked in Remington Rand before I went to war.
Okay.
I had taken a railway mail clerk's examination in 1936.
Uh-huh.
I'd taken and that was still live. So when I came out of the Army, I went to work for Alan Herschel in North Tonawanda amusement outfit because Remington Rand was going to pay me what they were paying me when I went to war,
Oh.
which was 50 cents an hour.
Oh, boy.
And Alan Herschel offered me $1.
Uh-huh.
So I went to work for them. I worked for them for a very short time. Then I got a notice from the government on my railway mail service. They had filled a number of the jobs on the railway mail service.
Now, was that Railway Express?
And then there was a McCormick bill and thing that gave anybody that was passed up his job in the there. So I went to work in the railway mail service.
Okay.
And not only that, I got a jump in I got a jump in pay from what did I get? You got back your rating, whatever they hired,
Mm-hmm.
you jumped him.
Oh.
Anybody who had a lower score, you got ahead of him, the guy you beat. So I went to work for the railway mail service within 2 months after
Okay.
I got out.
How long did you work for them?
From then on, I worked until 1972.
Okay. Now, you say railway mail service. Was that the same as Railway Express?
Pardon?
Was that the same as Railway Express? Or is that different?
No, this is strictly a postal job.
Oh, okay. The
This is
post.
strictly the post office.
Oh, I see. Okay.
It replaced the Pony Express. Eventually,
Oh.
in the beginning, the railway mail service replaced the Pony Express.
Oh, okay.
Because they shipped, sorted mail on the train.
Yeah. Okay.
And it was entirely by itself. It didn't belong. It didn't. Of course, they took them out of business when
Okay. Now, did you join any veterans organizations like the VFW or?
When I joined the American Legion, I belong to.
Okay.
I paid my dues, and
Uh-huh.
I go to sometime.
Okay. Did you stay in contact with anybody you were in the service with?
Very, very little with Walter Neace. I contacted letters, and they just, people went out and got married. And
Mm-hmm.
I really didn't keep track for any length of time.
Okay.
Now, some of the guys I kept contact with for maybe 3-4 years,
Mm-hmm.
but that would be it.
Okay.
I mean, you just wonder away because nobody local was in the outfit with me.
Okay. Now, did you ever attend any reunions from the unit or anything? Do you know if they had any reunions?
We had, shortly after the war, we had 3 reunions.
Mm-hmm.
And we had one in Watertown. But the fact that the division was discharged in Europe, I mean, the
Yeah.
4th Armored Division no longer existed after the war was over with.
Yeah.
So I kept letters with a couple of fellows, but that's about it. And I did go to He's had two reunions. First one, of course, in Watertown.
Uh-huh. Okay. Now you've got some photographs. Do you want to hold some of those up and explain when and where they were taken? Your son has got some photos set aside.
You want to show him these, Dad? Just,
Now, you can't pick them up.
I can get more.
You can't pick them up.
Well, you can hold them up one at a time.
I'm going to start with that one. That's an early one.
In order?
No, I mean
Not necessarily.
whatever you'd like to hold up is fine.
You just want them like so?
Yeah, yeah. Now hold them up for a few seconds so I can zoom in on them. Okay. Now that's you and your wife? Is that you and your wife in that photo?
I think so. I didn't look.
Okay. All right.
Flip it over.
Okay. Yeah. Turn it around and look at it.
Yeah, that's Emily.
Okay.
That's Easter Sunday. Oh, I tell you, I had her when I was in the desert. I had a lot of things in the desert happen.
Okay.
And this was
Okay. You can put that down.
that was Easter Sunday in 1933.
43.
43. Okay. And whereabouts was that? Do you recall? Was that over in Europe or in the States?
Oh, definitely in the States.
Okay.
I got in the back here something written. Having a tent up there. That's
Okay. You can drop that down.
Is that at Pine Camp? Was that at Pine Camp?
It looks like it could have been out in the desert somewhere.
This is Pine Camp.
Oh, Pine Camp. Okay.
One of those Sundays that I spent away from Tonawanda. Now you get this one.
Okay. Well, that's a nice one. Do you know where that was taken or when?
That's my second day in the camp. It's second day in the army.
Oh, okay.
And that's the girl I married.
Okay.
This is Pine Camp, winter of 41, 42.
Okay.
Okay?
Yep. Now that's a captured German flag.
That's somewhere in Germany. That's the half-track behind there that
Okay.
I rode in for quite a while, and those are, one is Hammond, Feltenbaum, and you don't want the names. DeFalco, the other radio operator.
Okay. All right. And whereabouts was that taken? Do you recall?
That's 43 in California desert.
Okay. Okay, you can put it down. Okay.
This is the making of Sahara,
Oh, okay.
even though it may look like this,
All right.
the desert.
That's Humphrey Bogart standing up.
Oh. Okay, that's a bigger version of that other one. Okay, that's a nice.
That's the first winter in Pine Camp. It's about
Okay,
about 42.
all right.
I don't know if you can get in close enough on that one.
Oh,
Yeah, I should be able to.
That's liberating a town in
what
Czechoslovakia.
is this?
It says liberating Neace.
Oh, can you focus in
Yep.
on such a thing here?
Yep, just hold it up right in front of you, and I can zoom right in on it. Okay, got it.
That's Strakonus, STR. OCANUS, Czechoslovakia. That's about 10 miles out of Písek.
Okay.
That just before.
Okay, you got any others
Be just
there? Or?
a couple days before the
There's a lot of them. I didn't have anything else showing
Okay,
my father and
all right. Okay, well, thank you very much. Oh, was there anything else you wanted to add or ask?
anything else you want to add, Dad? Anything else you want to add?
I don't know. No, my award here is in April when I was a private.
Hmm.
It was just unfortunate timing.
I don't know. Army of the United States, I got something from John P. Willie.
Okay.
So,
All right. Well, thank you very much for your interview, sir.
I hope it's. I can't remember things.
You did pretty good.
Yes, you did an
You did
excellent
very well,
job.
actually.